I'm going to have to do something about having a lover now that Jamie's a baby. There's no way I'm going to be celibate for the rest of my life. I wonder if Ben would be interested in me. He's smart, good-looking, and easy to get along with. A girl could do worse than to marry him. He doesn't have a girlfriend at the moment and I know he's not gay. Ben must feel awfully guilty about Jamie. I should tell him I don't hold him responsible for what happened. It wasn't his fault. I'll call him tomorrow and see if he would like to come over. As Jamie's best friend, he'd probably feel obligated to console me. You know what they say, there's only one way to comfort a widow. Mary got up from the sofa and picked up Jamie. It's time for your dinner, sweetheart. Mommy has some yummy strained carrots and peas for her little baby. She put him on her hip, carried him into the kitchen and put him into the high chair. She tied a bib around his neck and opened a jar of strained vegetables. Open wide, sweetie, she said, ladling a spoonful of vegetables into his mouth. He grimaced at the taste of the baby food and tried to push it away. Now honey, don't be naughty. Mommy wants you to eat all your veggies, she told him firmly as she spooned another mouthful into him. Mary was more than slightly upset with Jamie. He hadn't told her that he had been suffering from a potentially fatal disease and then he had taken an untested drug without consulting her. That was a hell of a way to treat his wife. His fate was karmic justice for the way he had treated her. She'd take care of him, she'd feed him, dress him, change his diapers and wash his dirty behind, but she'd be damned if she'd feel sorry for him. Besides, she hadn't wanted to have a baby. She was perfectly happy with the life she had. As far as she was concerned, her marriage to him was over. She had married a man, not an infant. She'd bed the first eligible man she could find, and do it right in front of him if it came to that. She smiled at the thought as she spooned the tasteless puree into him. Everybody believed he couldn't think because he had the body and reflexes of a baby. Wouldn't it be fun if he could still think? Jamie would go crazy with jealousy and wouldn't be able to do anything about it. He couldn't even talk. All he would be able to do is stand at the side of his playpen and cry. She could picture it clearly. There he'd be, his tiny hand clutching the top of the playpen rail, sucking his thumb and wearing nothing but a wet, drooping diaper. Totally ignoring the helpless infant he'd become. He'd be so embarrassed, he'd probably start bawling. Then she'd take him out of his playpen and put him in his crib for the night while they continued to party. He'd end up with a hell of an Oedipal complex. There'd be a odd sort of justice in that. He'd have stolen the secret of eternal youth from his best friend. It was only right that his best friend would assume his marital duties and receive the favors to which Jamie was no longer entitled or able to appreciate. She noticed that the food dribbling down his chin was accumulating on his bib. Mary scraped the food off of the bib and fed it to him again. Waste not, want not, baby, she thought to herself. From the look on his face she decided he must really hate this food. She sneered at him mentally. Oh poor baby. You don't like the taste of baby food? Well, that's just too bad. That's all you're going to be eating from now on. If you think you don't like that, just wait until you get your first case of diaper rash. You'll really be unhappy then. She fed him the rest of the jar, then cleaned him up and took him into the living room to give him his bottle. Mary sat down on the sofa and arranged him on her lap, laying him back against the crook of her arm. She put the nipple in his mouth and watched him as he eagerly began to suck.